everyone, welcome back to QSR Nation, your go-to source for food service marketing and business strategies for success.
Well, hey everybody, welcome back to QSR Nation. I want to thank you for joining us again today. We're having a little bit of a different setup this time, obviously due to the social distancing and working from home. But as always, we have Beth, Grant, and Tony here joining us today. And we also have Alex Merturi. Alex, welcome once again to the podcast.
Thanks for inviting me, guys. Excited to be here under the circumstances that we're in, but I'm glad to be part of this.
Yeah, well, thank you for working with us too. It's we kind of scrambled this together, but we're going to try to make it work.
Sure.
So Alex, well, would you mind telling us a little bit about your background?
Sure. I've been in the QSR space for over 20 years. Started as an entry-level sandwich artist for Subway. Worked my way up as an assistant manager, became an owner. Started purchasing underperforming stores, building sales, and flipping them. So I was flipping stores in my first 5 years of my Subway career, and then owned up to about 9 locations, and currently own 4, and running 4 right now. So I've been in the QSR game for over 20 years.
Nice.
It's an impressive history.
Thank you. Yes, it goes by quick.
I mean, you've done a lot really in a very short time. I mean, 20 years seems like a long time to people who are maybe like, I don't know, like you all youngins. But, 20 years is really a short amount of time, and you've accomplished a great deal in this space during that time.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's a lot to do with leadership and building your teams, and we'll talk about that, and training and focusing on the basics, right? And doing the basics really well. And that's the key, really, to sometimes it can get complex with day-to-day processes and focusing on, staffing and focusing on process, which is important, but you also got to remember the basics, which is what gets you to the top.
Yeah, for sure.
Being brilliant at it.
Yeah. I know we really want to discuss training today, and obviously we can pivot to some of the current situations that's going on out there, obviously, as we all know, with the COVID-19. But just really to start us off, so when it comes to training for success, how do you get your employees engaged and retain them actually in today's environment?
So, it's funny, whenever I talk about training across the country, training is probably the single most important retention tool you can have as an owner. It's interesting when you go to different QSRs or different small businesses, some people don't stay just because you don't have a particular training program in place that helps people want to do the right thing. And it's interesting, you might hire somebody that is eager to learn, but you don't put tools in place to elevate their learning and to elevate their curiosity. A lot of that happens where you just grab somebody off the street and you say, oh, here it is. This is what you got to do, and go for it. And that just doesn't work in the environment we're in now. So what we do is we focus a tremendous amount on training. We use training videos, 1 to 2 minute training videos. Here's the thing about videos that I always say. Everybody's learning through YouTube now. I mean, something breaks in your house, you're YouTubing it. Something of that nature. So, and if anybody sends you a video nowadays, if you look at a video and you go, oh, 5 minutes, oh, hell no, I don't want any part of this. So it's got to be 2 minutes. Not anything more than 2 minutes when you're training somebody is eternity on a video. So you have to remember. And I'm a big believer in, when you're doing training videos, not to really have an introduction. Nobody cares who I am, who you are. It doesn't really matter. Get down to business. This is how you do it, and boom, and you lay it out.
Yeah.
So true right now. Well, we have the social nomics videos that go around. I know that we talk about that, and humans have an attention span of less than 7 seconds, which is less than a goldfish at this point. So you're exactly right. When you have to make sure that you just get to the point and just move forward.
That's it. Yeah, 100%. And that's one of the keys to, especially to creating videos during training. I mean, you've got to be focused on the bulk of what you're training, because the attention span of most people now, like you said, 7 seconds. I mean, if you don't keep their attention and don't catch them in the beginning, they're gone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I know a lot of the training fundamentals right now, like just overall cleanliness, That's especially important. We do a secret shopper program with Champs Chicken, and I actually just heard from one of our shoppers that they got their food served without gloves, which is actually, I mean, even whenever there's not a coronavirus outbreak, you still should probably be wearing gloves. So a lot of those fundamentals are supremely important in this time right now. So.
Yeah, especially in this time, ourselves, we are focused on touch points right now. So in the Connecticut area, nobody's allowed to dine in, and I think that's across the country really right now. And we're focusing on touch points. Anything that a customer touches, we are sanitizing, and we've just, constant follow-ups, right? I mean, in this day and age with the coronavirus, if you're not following up and paying attention to those details, you could spread the virus. So all these little things and communicating to your team exactly why we need to do it, not only for our customer safety, but for their safety as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things that I think some people, there's every 10 minutes we got to update about this stuff, and it's probably over communicated in some cases, but there's some real base key things that if nothing else, this should take us all right back to basic cleanliness 101. Making sure that we're doing the things that need to happen in the food service industry, anywhere really, but especially in our space, to make sure that, hey, we are paying attention to this. We're staffing to the level to maintain the cleanliness as well. And then looking at, our overall interaction with these guests and making sure that they're still having a quality experience, which is another challenge. People are a little bit probably ruffled when they come in to begin with just because I can't sit down. It is disrupting everyone's world. So being able to still provide a quality and safe environment for that experience is going to be really challenging right now, obviously. And like you mentioned, all those touch points, being staffed to handle all that and making sure your staff stays focused and understanding why this is so important.
Exactly. And we've been doing this, and we've always implemented this type of training, which is basically role playing. And, we'll have our general managers or our managers, even myself, I'll role play as a customer and talk to a entry level person behind the counter or even an assistant manager and put them in certain situations so they can understand how to handle it. Right. And sometimes the role play can be a little cheesy. Like, Alex, what are you doing? Why are you role playing? I said, well, we got to play this thing out. Let's see how it works. But you go through it and you try to get them to understand, like, this is a scenario that could happen and understand how you handle this scenario by empowering them to make that decision.
That's a key word, is empowering.
Yeah. Well, and by using role play, even though nobody likes that, I have never met anyone who's like, oh, wow, could we do that today? But it actually creates a pattern of repetition for themselves. Right. They've actually been through it, and what they'll find on the other side is when something like this happens, they understand what to do, they understand what to say, they understand how they're going to interact, and it's not so awkward and foreign. It's kind of like when we tell Beth, Beth, don't be awkward. It's just constant. She's always awkward. I don't understand it.
Never
will.
You're welcome, everyone.
But I'll tell you one thing. So whenever I role play, I throw awkward in there all day long because it's just the curveball is perfect. Because you know why? It keeps them on their toes. Like, what is this guy doing? Yeah. Don't completely make it formal. Don't completely make it perfect. It's got to be completely unperfect. And that's how you capture the attention of the person you're trying to teach.
Look here, Alex. If you ever need an awkward role player, just call me and I am your girl.
Done. I got it.
I've got a master in sarcasm and a master in awkwardness. So, yeah, thank you.
You guys are a good group.
Well, how often do you recommend sending these touch points out and doing different types of training videos, obviously just to get to the point, but do you do this weekly for your staff? Do you do it monthly? What's a good cadence that you found?
Yeah, so any new products to come out, we do that right away. Keep it under 2 minutes. We'll walk through, and I use my phone. You don't need a huge camera system. You don't need to get fancy. It's literally a phone, you hit record. We use a program called WhatsApp, and that's a texting program that I use to communicate with my staff. Now, when you're training, you've got to have some sort of effective communication that you're using, that all your team is on, whether that's WhatsApp, and there's other products out there that could be better than WhatsApp, to be quite honest with you. It doesn't matter. But as long as that everybody's using the same platform, the reason why I use WhatsApp is the videos, right? It's easy to record a video and send it. You get these 2 blue check marks that says everybody read it, and I know that everybody viewed it. And it's something that we've used. So we'll use it as products come out, as training videos. We'll also use it to talk about what's happening. We've used it a lot for the coronavirus and different strategies on how to clean touch points and using sanitizer. And we've used it to make a joke or make something funny, just to lighten people up, because it's funny. It's oh, did I lose you?
Oh,
There you go. You're good.
Okay. So it's funny, because sometimes and we have to remember this, because even myself, I try to remember, the positivity in something, because we get so hung up on, look, everybody's home, everybody's trying to figure out what's going on, nobody knows what's happening, but then your team is also that way, and we are too as leaders. But then we got to remember, you just got to remember to smile, or you got to remember to let your team know, lighten the mood up a little bit, throw a funny video out there, say something funny, throw a picture that you've seen that's been distributed around, that's perfect for the environment that you're in, that can get people smiling, because we got to remember that too, which we can forget very easily during these times.
Yeah, no, that's great advice for sure. And we get that a lot whenever we have to create videos or something at the office. Everybody thinks we need to have like a big camera set up, and lights and everything. Like, no, the phones nowadays are, sometimes better than the cameras are becoming obsolete. So that's great advice.
Yeah, and especially the humor part too. I know when we had Adrian Gossick on, we've talked a lot about his book Levity. You've got to have that in the workplace. I mean, especially in stressful times. I'm the king of making ill-timed, ill-advised jokes. Everybody's acknowledging. But humor is okay, Beth. We get it. Humor is how you can move through something. You don't have to minimize the impact. You don't have to minimize the severity, but you've got to make sure you keep the mindset. And I know I get accused of being the negative guy all the time because I'm the realist, but it's Beth, I see you.
I forget that part.
Beth is eyeing you right now. Be careful.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you've got to still have fun. You've still got to find ways to get through the day and not let the negative stuff consume. So, I think it's awesome you guys use it. I use WhatsApp with my family. It's quick and easy. I don't have to worry about delayed text messages or only 10 people in a group, etc. It's very, very useful tool. So it's awesome you guys are using it in the workspace.
Yeah, it's been a huge communication tool, not only for our training, but we also do it to build culture. We'll do birthday shout outs, a group of 20 employees, and we'll say, happy birthday, Scott. And everybody says happy birthday in this feed. And it just kind of creates a sense of unity too. So using technology to help build culture, that's definitely possible by using, WhatsApp or whatever type of chatting software is out there.
Oh, that's great advice.
Yeah, it's awesome advice.
Yeah, and I know as a company, for our social stuff, we use Intercompany. We use Yammer, which is, a corporatized Facebook. That's where we do all of our birthday shout-outs and, funny videos and the gifts. And, again, keeping the humor and the lightness in there without clogging up email chains.
Right.
Servers are enough emails right now. So
yeah, and you know what? That humor is huge. We need it. We need the humor to get us through some days. We just have to have it. And it's part of the culture. It's part of your team knowing that, look, we're going through some tough times, but let's add a little bit of humor to make the best out of our situation. And us as leaders, we got to remember that, even as we're talking to our teams with this unprecedented situation we're all in, we've got to make sure we have our chins up and our back straight. It's hard to do as a leader. It's very hard to do, but we just got to remember that our teams, are looking up to us to see if we're okay. And even if we're not okay, we've got to kind of say, listen, it's going to be okay. You've got to really push hard and you've got to believe it. And you know what? You got to make your team believe it, because if they see you off or they see you not sure of how things are going to work out, and we all feel that, but we got to be strong enough for our teams to show them, like, you know what? It's going to get better. Don't worry. We're going to make this work somehow.
Well, and that's awesome advice, because one of the challenges that I know a lot of people are facing right now, not just in food service, in every aspect right now, but is keeping everybody engaged.
Yeah.
And keeping them focused. Whether you're using WhatsApp or other types of social metrics to keep everyone there. That's got to really be probably a pretty tiring role to be in too, as the leader. I know you refer to yourself as, you're not a boss, you're a coach.
That's right.
But right now, a lot of coaches probably feel like they're down, 49-0, and it's in the fourth quarter. Not sure how we're going to manage back through this to pull the win out. So, how do you feel that leaders should be looking at the to get folks up and really get that team rallied around you?
I'll tell you, as a leader, even myself, if you talk to me about 2 days ago, don't get me wrong, I'm a generally positive person, but about 2 days ago, I fell in a rut myself, and I was like, my God, I'm 49-0, like you said, and how am I going to get out of this? How am I going to get to the halfway to this mountain? Or how am I going to get back up again? Or what's going to happen? It's a very unique situation we're in. But then I remember, I'm in my vehicle and I'm like, all right, Alex, straighten out that back. You're about to open that front door and your team's going to look at you. And I tell my team all the time, even now during these times where, I'm trying to keep as many hours as I can for my team. I haven't had to lay anybody off yet, thank goodness. We are reducing hours through this time that we're going in. But here's the thing. I'm communicating to them exactly what's going on and how I'm thinking about everything. And I'm being transparent. You as an owner, what you don't want to do is just cut hours and not give any explanation. There's a lot of people out there that do that. And they just think, hey, everybody should understand what the scenario is. I'm cutting hours, good luck. Communicate clearly as to why you're doing what you're doing, why you need to do it. Because if you're not communicating to your team why you're doing what you're doing, they're not, in most situations, going to understand why you're doing it, even during these circumstances, right? And you can't expect them to understand it, to be honest. And you can't say to yourself, they should understand it. You've got to communicate clearly.
Right. And
Exactly.
one thing we preach here lately during this coronavirus deal going on is calm is contagious. And you, Alex, for sure, like if you're not calm, then your employees certainly won't feel calm. But if you do come in with a calm demeanor, that can really change everybody's attitudes right away. So there's a lot of importance in that alone.
You're 100% right. We are so impactful to our teams. A lot of us do know how impactful we are, but some of us don't. And we've got to remember that and keep that in mind, because we've got to be calm as leaders during this whole ordeal. And it's not easy, guys. I'm going to be honest with you. It's not easy. But we've got to try to figure out a way to muster up the energy to make it so our team knows that we're calm and we're in a decent place mentally. Financially, maybe not, or whatever. We've all got things going on, but our team needs to look at us to make sure we're mentally strong, and that's important.
And I think that's such a huge aspect, because, we're an open book management company. So we're communicating financials every Monday. There's a select group of people that get together to talk about it. Every 4 weeks, while the whole company's meeting, we're going through, what's going on this part of the general ledger, what's going on in this part, what's impacting it, what do we expect, what are we forecasting, and really trying to tell that story and communicate it so that everyone understands where we are. Good, bad, or indifferent, understand where we are, and so that we can really, at the essence, like you said, know the why. Yes. I think knowing why, especially during, right now in these unprecedented times, more so than ever, companies need, I feel, to be very transparent with their team for a number of reasons, like you mentioned, but also for retention. If people don't know, they're going to panic.
That's right.
And in some cases, they may have to seek employment elsewhere. depending on the financial structures of the company. But if you could prevent losing people because you've communicated that, hey, this is our strategy for the next 3 weeks, this is our strategy for the next 6, this is our strategy for the next 9, if it needs to go that long. But at least so they have an understanding of the why and the direction that we're going in. I know when I coached, I would talk to my kids about, the 4 Ps. They got, my team had to understand the plan. They had to understand their part in it. They had to be ready to create the pressure when needed, but they also had to learn to be patient. And that is so key in business as it was for me with soccer and coaching. That was the first 2 parts, especially there, communicating the plan and knowing your part.
Yeah.
And what is my role in this? The thing that Alex has come up with to get us through this. Because you're
Right.
the coach.
That's right.
What's my role in this, coach? Then also understanding when I've got to apply some pressure, which is right now maybe shortened hours and intensified cleaning and sanitization, but to also have that patience and understanding that this too will pass. Like
It
the
will.
kidney stone may be
That's right.
painful.
It's going to be
will
painful.
pass.
It's definitely going to be painful, but it will pass. That's for sure. I believe that. And I truly do believe it. And here's the thing about communicating, right? So I've been communicating with my staff exactly what's going on. And here's what I noticed. Because of my communication, we're getting closer together, even closer than we were before. Now I'm seeing staff say, oh, she didn't work yesterday. Maybe I'll leave 2 hours early so she can gain 2 hours on my shift. And I noticed this morning and I go, wow. So hold on, the communication that we're doing as a company is fantastic because everybody understands what's happening. Everybody understands the plan going forward. And now they're supporting each other. That's part of the retention of understanding the, unprecedented circumstances we're all in.
Yeah, it's really we're in this together type mentality for sure.
That's right.
Yep.
Well, and that's something I think that is becoming more prevalent. I know 2 of my daughters, I won't mention the company, but they work for a larger grocery chain, and typically that chain isn't maybe known for being real employee focused. But I'm not going to mention them. I'm not going to say who they are. Not one of my favorite places. But lately it's been very different. Team members saying, hey, I have this come up, I need to make sure that I'm taking care of this personally. Can someone cover this shift, and I'll trade off to cover that for you? Or someone saying, hey, I'm okay, and I can take reduction hours if a couple of these other people who I know need it, if they need to do that. I'm okay financially at home. They can have some of my hours, and really having that team support, like you mentioned, where they're talking amongst themselves more.
That's right.
Being more aware of the needs of the person next to them. So I mean, there's a lot of bad things going around, as our president say, very bad, very bad. But there's a lot of great things that can happen, out of this too. And so I think, grasping that silver lining, finding that opportunity through additional conversation, maybe because you're slower and you're cleaning tables more often, or maybe it's just because you're using WhatsApp and you have a better, fuller understanding of what your teammates going through. There are some positives that will come out of this, and I think
I believe
what you're
that.
talking.
Yeah, I believe that as well. And that's what you have to let your team know. We will get through this together as a group, and we will. And I believe that. And I think we'll come out better on the other side. But as a leader, we've got to keep that calmness that you're talking about, that you guys discussed. It's so important because we're very influential on our team, more than we really know.
Yeah.
All super great points. And I just want to point out that, the social distancing thing has been very impactful. We did it mainly because we didn't want to be with Beth. Really, honestly.
Beth, what is this? These guys kill you, huh?
I know. See,
when you guys get back together, they're gonna. You got to get them back.
don't you worry. Don't you worry. I will.
I'm a people person, and so like myself, I'm not. So this is great for me. I love this social distancing, but Beth loves the people.
I'm struggling. I keep FaceTiming people nonstop.
It's tough. It's tough. It's true. It's true.
Oh my goodness. Well, do we want to ask the big three for Alex then, just to make sure that we have everything covered?
Let's do it.
Okay.
You want to start off?
Yeah, I'll start it off. Oh, hold on just a second. Okay, it's been a while now since we've done this. Okay, so Alex, what is the one book that you would recommend right now to read, and why would you recommend it?
So I'll tell you, whenever I'm kind of can feel myself being a little down and out, there's two books, but I think I mentioned that first one to you, so I won't mention that one again. But just in case somebody didn't hear the first podcast, is by Dan Carnegie, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, which I think is huge. But
Yes.
now, lately I've been reading The Alchemist, which is kind of, and I've read that. This is my third time reading it. It's by Paulo Coelho, if I don't ruin his last name. But The Alchemist is about, kind of the unknown, right? And us getting through the unknown. And that's kind of where we are right now. Everybody's kind of in an unknown space, and it's hard to navigate through that. But, if you trust in yourself and you try to stay positive and you go through the motions, day by day, sometimes, you want to plan in advance, but sometimes if a week out is too much for a person to handle, go 2 days out or go 1 day out. And trying to understand that, things will get better. And The Alchemist is a book that talks about that, is being able to handle the unknown. And it's not always easy. So that's my favorite book right now. My third time reading it, but it's one of my favorites.
I would say if you're reading it a third time, it's a pretty good one, I would say.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll
All
take
right.
the next one. Or Grant, go ahead.
I got the second one.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. And these questions are weird now with all that's going on, but what is one business or industry trend that you see moving forward within the next year?
So I'll tell you, that's a tough one to answer, but what I will tell you is what I've done is, especially us that are in the takeout business, and we're one of the essential businesses that are allowed to stay open. I think what we need to think about right now, because I'm not even a year out, to be quite honest with you, I'm like a week out or 2 weeks out, or even in some cases a day out. I've purchased signs that I'm using in my locations that say takeout only or delivery only. I paid for those signs. They're coming in the mail. I think customers need to know that we're open. There's a lot of customers out there that don't believe we're open. They think we're closed. And I think we need to let consumers know that, through this 15 days, we do have carry out, we do have delivery, we do have takeout. And I think that's going to take us doing some stuff online and us doing signage in our area, just using our trade areas, and putting a sign out, an A-frame sign or a banner that says, hey, we are takeout. So come in, let people know, use that traffic that people are driving around. Because you're seeing people now, they're just driving. They don't know what's open and what's not. So I think putting signs out, I think are in the short term going to help a lot of brands.
For sure.
All right, well, I'll
I
handle
think
the last one here. Okay, so like Grant said, this is kind of weird now because so much has changed. But what's one piece of advice you would give a new franchise or a new business, and to help them get started? And maybe even this is a good time to ask that question now, because a lot of people don't even want to get started because they don't know when this will end. So what's one piece of advice you would give?
I'll tell you, it's as a new franchisee, when you're thinking about getting in, it's funny, even now that I own my businesses and I'm going through some tough times with customers not coming in our stores as much. And that's across the board. You got restaurants laying people off, I guess you got to be comfortable with the unknown, right? So this is kind of where we are in some crazy way. As a new franchisee, this happens, right? Where you can see the situation where, okay, you want to own a business, but you know what? You're in a situation like this. It's funny, even in this situation that I'm personally in, I still don't look up and I go, why did I do this? I love what I do. And you got to love being an entrepreneur. You got to love being a franchisee. You got to love owning your own business. Is it for everybody? No. Can anybody do it? Yes. if they get the mentality and that mental strength in the right place. And I think now even more. So if you want to be a small business owner, you want to be a franchisee, think about your mental strength. That this is what's going to separate, who's going to get through it and who's not. I swear, don't get me wrong, the financial stuff is so important. All the other stuff is really important. And you need the finances to make it all work. But your head has to be right. You have to be. That's where it starts. And if I can give the best advice to any franchisee right now or any small business owner, be a great leader and focus on your people, even through these darkest times. Because I believe that if you still have that mentality, you'll get through this somehow.
Well, and there's also, you're coming out the other side of this, how much better positioned will you be with a stronger team and opportunity? I mean, let's be honest, there's going to be a rebuild stage.
There is.
Of the customer base, of the economy. So take this time and use it as, hey, now's when we can get, maximize on our training. If there's anything that you don't understand fully, let's just take advantage of the slow customer count and maximize this while we can, because when this is through, and it will be through, we're going to come out stronger on the other side.
100%. I'm excited about that. Right. So I think right now, there's two things that I focus on: having gratitude that you have your kids, your family, your dogs, your cats, whatever anybody's into. For having those things in front of you, just be grateful for that, but also think about how great it's going to be when we get to the other side. And I believe we are.
Agree. Great advice for sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
You guys have any other questions for Alex before we wrap up?
No, just thanks for coming on, and really appreciate you modifying to our new format, maybe.
No worries, man. No worries. I'm glad I was able to do it. I hope it worked out well for you guys.
Yeah. I know you told us last time too, but go ahead. Can you please tell us where people can reach out to you if they have any questions or anything?
Yeah. You can go to alexmerturi.com. There you have the ability to send me a note. I'm a keynote speaker for small businesses on creating culture, how to hire, how to train, how to motivate, how to retain staff. The 4 keys that really are huge pillars that people need, and figure out ways to do that. I also created a second presentation that focuses on how to interview, right? How to be a better interviewer and picking better candidates. So if anybody's interested in having me speak in their territories or in their areas, please reach out to me. I've been to over 40 territories across the country, and I've broken into Canada now as well. So it's been a fun time.
Yeah, well, QSR Nation recommends you too, so that's a great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Alex, now's not the best time to be traveling all those places,
No, unfortunately, I've had so many bookings and they've all been canceled, but you know what? We'll get through it. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And I get it. And you know what? We're in a unique situation. And I think once we get through it, I think everybody's going to get back to normal and things will get better. I really believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Telling all the listeners take away from this, it's going to get better eventually.
It's going to get better. It's going to get better. Let's get through it day by day, and I believe it's going to get better.
It's awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely include your URL in the show notes too, so people can easily find you. And for all of our listeners, if you want to listen to the previous podcast with Alex, you can go to QSRNationPodcast.com. Reach out to us at QSRNation@PFSBrands.com. Beth's going to tell you about social media.
Exactly. So you can find us on all social media channels. We have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. There's my dog barking. Now you can hear it. But you can find us on all those different channels. We're doing bi-weekly vlogs right now. And then obviously we might be trying to do video podcasts now. So, but be sure to hunt us down on all the social media. We would love to stay in contact with you all.
Yep. And Alex, once again, thanks very much for coming on today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you guys for inviting me. I always enjoy being on your show. Thank you so much.
All right. Now for all of our listeners, we'll talk to you soon.
Be sure to join us again for the next episode of QSR Nation.